You're listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. This is Donna G broadcasting live from Hart House on the beautiful U of T campus. And this is my annual 5-minute Fringe Showcase special. Today, for the hour, I have 8 shows in the house, and they will each have 5 minutes to tell you why you should go and see their show at this year's Fringe 2016. The shows coming up that you will hear from are A Bitter Shrew, For the Record, Tarot Live, Women, Exterminating Angel, Myths and Coffee Cups, The Pain in My Ass or How to Adult, and Scenes from Plays I Never Wrote. So keep it locked to CIUT 89.5 FM, and I'm going to turn it right over now to my first guest. This is Jillian English, and she has a solo show that she'll be performing at the Tarragon Theatre Solo Room. Jillian, welcome to CIUT.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So, A Bitter Shrew. Mm-hmm. Are you a bit of a shrew?
I'm not, actually. But
and are you bitter?
No, but I am a very outspoken, overly aggressive, not overly, that's just some of people's words. I'm a very aggressive feminist, very touch violent, but I think that's just the contact sports. But I tend to intimidate men with real delicate, fragile egos. I had a review of my show, Drag Queen Stole My Dress, in Montreal a few years back, and it wasn't even so much a review of my show, it was of me, and it included the words, Jillian English is a bitter shrew. And I was like, thank you for the title, bud. Let's run with that. So I looked around and was like, what are the perceptions of women? And if you do it like a Twitter search of bitter shrew, it's mostly just people who hate Hillary Clinton. And they can't come up with anything. And it's like, what's the connotation of that? And it really, for me, it's about women owning themselves and not being sweet and cute and placating men who just need their ego stroked. I have no time for that. I'm not your mom. So yeah, the show's just about sex.
Speaking of sex, tell me, you mentioned the contact sports.
Yep. I used to play Aussie Rules football for Team Canada.
Yay!
Yeah. So I'm not exactly a demure little flower that, I don't mean to be emasculating, but...
So do you mention that in your dating profiles?
Yeah, but then I just get, I had to take it out because I get a lot of like, ooh, you want to tackle me? And it's like, I would break you in half. Okay, that's, it's fine. It's interesting. What I found is men like the idea of a strong woman. They like the idea of a woman who challenges them, but the reality is horrifying in my experience, and then they run away.
So in your 60-minute show, it's primarily autobiographical?
It's all autobiographical. All my solo shows are stupid things that have happened to me. It's getting to the point now where I'm pretty sure no one's going to believe that this keeps happening, but it does. This is my stupid life.
So did your boyfriend really have a 26 and heart attack?
Yeah. Well, it was Wolf Parkinson White style heart attack. It wasn't cardiac arrest, but he was dead there for a few seconds. So.
And this was on a date?
No, we were together, and then we were playing Antony and Cleopatra in a show I was producing. Then we broke up 2 weeks before opening. Then 2 days before opening night, he had a full-on heart attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you're the cause?
Not that I'm aware of. I think that was his pre-existing heart condition that did that to him.
And so things like this people don't think happen to most people because he's 26.
Yeah, he was 26. He's fine now, though.
So do the other guys that you date have to watch out for you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
There is one dude I dated who's like, are you going to write about me? And I was like, are you going to do something worth writing about? Because if you've seen my shows, you know what I write about. So you only have to be concerned if you're a douchebag. But hey, I mean, at this point, I just, it's nice to have publishable material.
So you've done lots of different fringes. What's the response been to A Bitter Shrew?
Bitter Shrew just premiered at Montreal Fringe. The response was great. I had packed houses. The reviewers loved it. There was a lot of really great buzz. So I'm very excited. And my other show, Drag Queen Stole My Dress, was nominated for Best Comedy at the Adelaide Fringe just this spring. So that's it's a really big award at a really big festival. So it's very funny. And you can just be happy that whatever happens happened to me and not you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any pressure with being a solo show?
Pressure?
Yeah. What are some of the pressures?
Well, I mean, it's all on you. And I started doing solo shows so that I didn't have to depend on other people, and then it really it comes down to you. So there's extra pressure, but it's also very freeing because it's just you. And this is my third, and this is the one that I'm kind of just like, you know. I've told the story about how I called off my wedding. I've told the story about why I left contact sports, and now I'm just telling some real dumb stuff. It's just it's a departure from where I was storytelling wise, but it's almost like I just don't care anymore. The world can know all the things about me. It's fine. They're stupid. So might as well tell everyone.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
All right.
It's real dumb. Okay. It's real dumb. But so much fun.
All right. Well, that's A Bitter Shrew. And you can find out more about Jillian at jillianenglish.com. And that's Jillian with a G. And you can catch it opening night of the Fringe, June 29th, 8:15 p.m. at the Tarragon Theatre Solo Room. Jillian, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
That's life.
This was one of my mother's favorite songs. It was her Nothing's Gonna Keep Me Down song, which was pretty much her personal philosophy. She grew up poor, the oldest of 5, and at 15 she had to drop out of school to help take care of her siblings. At 17 she was pregnant. By 23 she had 3 kids of her own, and by 26 she was twice divorced, a single mother living in public housing. But she was always a survivor. To me, a little girl growing up in the 60s, my mom was beyond cool. She wore bright orange mini dresses with giant brooches and black leather go-go boots and said, "Listen, baby," whenever she had a point to make, which was often, waving her cigarette around like an exclamation mark. "Listen, baby, you can do anything you want to do if you work hard enough. Just remember, sometimes people are jerks, and you just want to punch them in the nose." I was deeply proud of her. She was different from other mums. She was like Mary Tyler Moore throwing her hat in the air. But only if Mary had 3 kids, 2 ex-husbands, and a pet monkey who liked to have sex with my Barbies. A brownie? Why do you want to be a brownie? No girl looks good in brown. She had a point. And when I was 7, she met the love of her life, my stepfather. And this time, she waited 3 years to marry him. 3rd time's the charm, right? And it was. They were deeply in love. But sometimes they made us feel a little bit like we were tagging along on someone else's honeymoon. "Listen, baby, we're going to go upstairs to brush our teeth. Tell your brother not to forget to take out the garbage." By the time I was 12, we'd moved 5 times, but we ended up back here in Toronto. I didn't exactly fit into my new neighborhood. The girls had seasonal wardrobes and went south for the holidays. My mother didn't have time for any of that. "Listen, baby, if you want painter pants, you'll have to pay for them yourself. Nobody bought me clothes when I was your age, and why do you want to look like a painter?" On the one hand, she was a classic second-wave feminist career woman. On the other, she was always telling me to wear more dresses. It was confusing. So much about my mother was confusing.
You're listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. This is Donna G with the 5-Minute Fringe Showcase. And you heard Sherry Hollett from the show For the Record in a monologue about her mother. Sherry is joined by Chris, who is the director. Welcome to CIUT, both of you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Donna.
So, Sherry, is that really your mother?
That's really my mother.
Wow.
That is really my mother.
And what inspired you to write this piece for the record?
You know, actually it all started because Chris bought me a turntable. Chris and I are a couple, and one year for Christmas he got me a turntable, and I started playing some of my many records because I have milk crates full of them. And that kind of led to telling some stories from adolescence. And we started thinking, hey, this is a cool idea to use, memory and music to create a show. And my own daughter is going off to acting school at the end of the summer, And it was kind of a nice way for me to go back and explore that time when I was her age.
And Chris, tell me about your mother.
My mother?
Yes.
Oh, my mother. My mother is not in the show.
Chris already did that. That was our first show.
I did write about my mother in a veiled way once.
Okay.
In the very first
Very
play
first
we
show
did
we
together.
ever did. I played his mother.
Sherry played my mother. That
Wow.
strained relations a little bit.
Yeah, that was a little bit tense.
But I also had the pleasure of knowing Sherry's mother, and Sherry's mom was, she was one of a kind. It's really fascinating to see her kind of process and portray her, because she was an amazing woman, incredibly vivacious, unique, outspoken, and really, really interesting. Just the kind of character that you want to make a part of a stage show.
So did this make it easier for you to direct, Sherry?
Yes. In some ways, yes. I mean, it's strange because again, it is quite autobiographical, and so sometimes the lines get a little bit blurred. It's a big challenge directing your wife and your daughter in a show. I have to say, maybe that's one of the bigger challenges of my career so far. So
I think he means that in a good way.
Trying to
though.
maintain diplomatic relations. Luckily, we have a stage manager in the room. It's very important to have outside parties. Otherwise, it just is mom, dad, and daughter in the room, and that's not a good thing necessarily. It's very easy to slip into domestic dynamics. So it's great.
And Sherry, do we get to hear some of your vinyl in the show?
Oh, you betcha. You
Good.
bet. It's my top 19.
And
Yes.
you are site-specific.
Yep.
Tell me about your venue.
We are at a record store. So it is a gold mine of vinyl. And that was part of why we wanted to be there, just to have that vibe, because that was so much a part of my adolescence, going to record stores.
Yeah, we're at Cops Records on Bloor Street, which is just east of Markham.
Across from the beer tent, pretty
across
much.
from Honest Ed's and the beer tent. There's a Fringe beer tent. Good
That's right.
location.
You're
And
two-
they've been
2 minutes.
amazing. The staff there have been just incredible in welcoming us in and helping us do the show there. So we're very excited.
Well, Chris and Sherry, thank you so much for joining me here on CIUT, and good luck with the performance. Oh, sorry, break a leg. That's the theater term. Break a leg.
Nice save.
And off you go
you.
to join your daughter.
Thank you so
Thanks, Donna.
much.
Okay.
Bye.
You are listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. And for the record, as Sherry mentioned and Chris mentioned as well, is at Cops Records, 592 Bloor Street West. And their premiere show is on June the 30th. At 9 p.m. and their website, nightkitchentheatre.ca, nightkitchentheatre.ca, part of the Toronto Fringe Festival that runs from June 20th to July 10th. And joining me next is actually a visual performer. He will be doing it's called Tarot Live. So I think I'm expecting some interaction here with Tarot Live from Jesse Stong.
Hi, Donna. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. So what do you have in store for me today? Should I be worried?
Oh, no, don't be worried. No way. So, yeah, my show is very theatrical, spiritual, interactive show, Tarot Live. And so what I'm trying to do is experiment with just bringing people up on stage, kind of Oprah style, letting them draw their own cards and see what happens with the live audience experience. So I wanted to give a little taste test today if you're up for it, if you're game for it.
So what do you want me to do?
Well, first I always start by doing name numerology. It's kind of like the matrix that you live in, sort of. And I just was thinking about your name is really interesting, actually, Donna. And you always say Donna G, yeah?
Yeah.
It's like your thing, right?
Yeah.
So how we say our name is kind of like how we label it. It's how the magic of it works. You can analyze it in a lot of ways, but what's really cool is D is a 3 in numerology, 0 is an A, D is a 3.
Okay.
And so 3 are really like all about action, all about energy, all about fire. They're kind of like more action than they are humans. They don't worry about themselves as much as like what they do and how they do it.
Okay.
O is a 1, which is really interesting. It means when you're around age 12, it's when the O in your name really emerged. And the 1 is kind of like an individual, a personality. So I would imagine from 12 till 24, you had a bit of an issue with trying to express yourself to others, trying to have people understand your kind of alien vision of the world is sort of how 1 energy rolls. But then it's really interesting when you get into the N of your name. N and A are both 0. So your name is literally 31000. So pretty much from the age 24 onwards, you can expect a lot of travel, a lot of transformation, constant change all the time. 31000, because N and A are both 0. So it's really interesting. You're kind of like, it's a really cool story if you look at it that way. Like, you're a fireball, you kind of had this like youth of trying to figure yourself out, and then it moves on to just like constant change, travel, transformation. If you look at the G2, G is a 6, which is material, wealth, and leadership. So anyone with that last name and who uses that has a high chance of getting somewhere in this real world.
What about money?
Yeah, no, 6 is the money number for sure. 6 is the hard work number, but it's also the money number. It's not just a dream, it's a reality.
Well, I've had a lot of the hard work.
Yeah, so you're ready for the money section.
Is the money coming soon?
Well, one of the first questions people usually ask is like, what are the lottery numbers, or when is the money coming? What I say is like, think more about what you do with the money. That's the best way to get it, right?
Okay. So you've got your tarot cards.
I've got them here. They're Osho Zen Tarot. So people say like, oh, no death card in this deck. And the cloud cards in this deck are kind of like warning you about things, but in a way that you can be solution focused and proactive. I don't want anyone coming and peeing their pants in the audience thinking I'm going to give them a hard time. But I just wanted you to ask one question, draw one card if you feel like it.
Okay. Let me draw a card.
What are you thinking, though? You got to ask an area of life.
I have to ask a question?
Or an area of life. Or
okay. All right. I've done it.
Yeah? You're not going to tell me?
No.
Okay, it's not. The more you tell me, I just read cards. I don't read minds. But let's see what you got.
What is...
So this is great. So it's a major card. No, it's good. It's a really positive card, and it's a major card, and it's the aloneness card. But that's good. I can explain what it is. Like, see this glow in the background here?
Yeah.
It represents like going on a journey. It means you're entering into a new phase right now, where it's kind of like it's a road that you have to travel alone, and it's a road that hasn't been carved out by other people before. Okay. So the glow in the background represents a positive outcome, but because there's no colors in it, it means like you're really not going to know how it goes until you're in it, until you're doing it. So really, when I get this card, I tell people it's a major time right now to really focus on your intuition, move forward on something new, and don't ask other people for advice, because people are going to try to lead you in what they think is the right direction. It's all you. It's all about unknowing. It's kind of like this Tarot Live thing I'm doing. It's like, who the hell knows what's going to happen? Just move forward in the aloneness, but it's all you right now, which is... Don't be scared of that.
The only thing I tend to ask advice about is shoes.
Shoes? Okay, so then don't ask anyone. For the next while, just buy the shoes you want.
Just buy the shoes.
Don't even try them on. Just get them. Just go for it. Strut on, yeah.
All right, but that wasn't the question I asked when I picked the card.
But I hope that works for you.
Can I pick another one? We've got about a minute.
Yeah, we got to ask the question out loud this time.
I have to ask the question out loud.
Or area of life.
Or area of life. Will I continue to enjoy my job?
Okay, yeah, good. That's assuming you enjoy your job the way you phrased it, so that's a good sign. Continue to enjoy your job. So it's a completion card. So it actually means that there is like a winding up phase happening. No! It's a 21 though, right? So it means that it could be for the next 21 days. You just need to start thinking about, when I'm done at this job, what's the next phase for me?
I don't want to think about that.
Oh, in the next 21 days, you got time. Just what's the next phase? Maybe it's going to be a longer progression towards something, but they're saying that the puzzles are all there. You've kind of gotten your pieces together. Now it's time to think of the next phase. When I get this card too, I always stop. Even if it's people's second card, I say like, completion card means you need to stop asking questions. So.
And we've come to the end of our
We've come
to the end of our session. So that's Jessie Stong, not strong, and it's called Tarot Live, and it's at the Factory Theatre Studio.
Yeah, we open this Thursday at 8:30. So try to come, bring something fun, wear something fun.
Okay, and Jessie, do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah, if you just look up Jessie Stong on Facebook, I'm doing a daily tarot card a day video too, so you can get some, or just go to Tarot Live at Fringe is the event. Okay. Posting one video a day. You just click, ask your question, and click.
All right. Thank you so much, Jessie.
You.
And I'm going to contemplate those tarot cards.
Yeah, good. Let me know how the journey goes.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you are listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. And that was Jessie Stong talking about Tarot Live. And hoped you enjoyed my reading as much as I did. Definitely some things to look out for. And joining me now are a couple of people from Women. If you look at their poster, it's the Little Women with the little crossed out, so that might give you a hint. But joining me in studio is Isabel Kanan and Chris Baker. Welcome to CIUT.
Hello there.
Hi.
So, women, but we have you, Chris. So
there's not just women in the show.
Yes.
Tell me about your character, Chris.
So I'm playing Mr. Brooke in this show. So our play is a takeoff of Little Women. So for anyone that's familiar with the movie or the book or the musical, Mr. Brooke is the young gentleman that gets to marry one of the sisters. He marries Meg March and sort of turns into a bit of a goofy husband in this version of the show.
And Isabel, who are you playing?
I'm playing Amy March, the youngest of the March sisters, and she is just the artsy girl that goes to Europe and just wants to have fun all the time.
And have either of you read Little Women before doing this show?
As a matter of fact, no. My first experience with Little Women was the musical. That's what I saw first, and then I saw the movie afterwards.
Ooh.
But I've never read the book.
My experience with Little Women was watching Friends, and Joey was reading the book Little Women. That was my first experience.
Like the TV show Friends.
Yes,
like,
the TV
and Joey
show
would,
Friends.
Oh, and then he starts crying.
Exactly.
At a certain point in the show, which may or may not happen in our show as well.
Yeah.
If you see our hashtag for Twitter, Beth Dies TO. Not going to tell you what's going to happen, but maybe that'll happen.
So is this a period piece, or have you modernized it in any way?
So it is, it's set in 1863, but we act the way we normally act in this day and age. So that's kind of an interesting take on it.
Yeah, they say that, this show is told through the lens of HBO's Girls.
Exactly.
So each of the March sisters are really modeled after the four main characters in that TV show. So Jo is a lot like Hannah, and Meg is a lot like Marnie, and I guess Amy is the Jessa.
Jessa, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
and so that's the big difference with this show is you've got these four women, Little Women, who talk in more contemporary language, whereas the rest of the characters, like Mr. Brooke, for instance, is still very much set in a very traditional 1863 kind of.
Oh, so it's a
dialogue.
hybrid.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So tell me about your set.
Right. So we're working with a pretty minimal set as you do with the Fringe because you don't have a lot of space and you don't have a lot of time to set up. So we're using just a couple really basic pieces to kind of manipulate and move around into a few different things.
Yeah, we really just have a trunk and a chair. That's the most we work around with, and there are little props here and there.
Yeah.
What about costuming?
We've got a great costume designer who's in the fashion program right now
Yes.
in university. So she's come up with a pretty period style of dress for us with a few little twists that make it a little bit modern, sort of peppering in that hint of the contemporary. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wear a bow tie. This is not unusual for me, but hey.
Pre-tied?
This one is, but I know how to tie an actual bow tie. Okay. Yeah.
And Amy, tell me about your costume.
My costume is very period. It's those long skirts, a very Victorian shirt. Yeah, so so having that costume, but speaking in kind of like this all the time is quite an image.
How about your movement? Did it take time to get used to moving in so many clothes?
Oh no, it was pretty easy actually because the thing with HBO's Girls, they're just very comfortable in how they walk and how they move around. So Amy's pretty much the same way, no matter what she's wearing. She's very comfortable with it.
And what sort of costume was designed for you?
It's all I know
Yeah.
is that it's blue. That's Amy's color. And yeah, it's long sleeve, long skirt. So I'm going to be really hot because it's the summer.
And your venue is the Annex Theater.
Yes.
And have either of you performed there before?
No, I've seen a lot of shows in the Annex, but I've never had the chance to perform in it. But it's got those two beautiful staircases in the back.
Yes.
Which I get to run up and down, I think about 8 times during the show. So I'm really looking forward to that in my suit that I'll be wearing. It's
I think it's a
great.
really good venue
is.
for your show and for a period piece because of those
Absolutely.
staircases.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can-
We use it a lot too.
Yeah, so you can find us there. We're opening on Thursday night. So
Yeah, that's wonderful. And the website for you is martharoseproductions.com, martharoseproductions.com, and that's Women. Kicks off June 30th, 8:15 p.m. And Isabel, thank you. And
you.
Chris, thank you.
Thank
and,
you.
Have a good time with women.
thank you very
thank
much.
you.
Check out our Twitter, Beth Dies TO.
Okay. Beth Dies T.O. Thank you. And you're listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. This is Donna G. And the 5-Minute Fringe Showcase continues. We are at, believe it or not, number 5 on my list of 8. And this next show is Exterminating Angel. And it's apparently inspired by Louis Buñuel. But joining me in studio is Adam Sakayama, and he is the composer. The first time in my run of doing 5-Minute Fringe that I've had, one of the few times I've had a composer in studio. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell us why people should go and see Exterminating Angel.
Great. Well, maybe you've heard of the film. It gets referenced in Midnight in Paris, if you know the film, the Woody Allen film. It's a surrealist film. It's kooky. It's about a group of wealthy dinner guests, who at the end of their get together, discover themselves unable to leave for whatever reason. They just choose to remain in the space. Days go by, and things begin to go sideways in between the interpersonal relationships and just society as a microcosm of society as a whole. What happens when the rules start to break down, or the outside world stops getting in, and what comes out of the person?
How did you get involved in this?
So Elisa Pyers, who is the choreographer and producer of the project, is actually my fiance. So we have a previous working and relationship and otherwise a relationship from that. But I have composed for her in the past, but I am a composer. That is my job. So I've written for Fringe shows before, and yeah.
So where do you start with composing?
From the compositional side, dance is interesting because I write for musical theater, which is text-based, and so there's a very clear arc that I know as a composer. Writing for dance, you have to go off of the stories. You have to make the music a lot more sensitive to the ups and downs of the movement, and you have to be really in tune with the visual aspect of it, and you can't rely on the words to interpret. You have to understand the story and the character so well to get those small movements from a musical mood standpoint.
So at what point are you brought into the production?
I've been watching rehearsal videos for since the beginning of the project, and sketching ideas musically for a few months. But the score hasn't really started coming together until June, end of mid-May, I'd say. And when some of the movement was beginning to be finalized, then I had a better idea of lengths and where the ups and downs were, as I was saying before. So.
Do you have any leitmotifs running through the piece?
Not as such, not as what you think is a leitmotif, like less melodic motifs and more instrumental motifs or mood motifs. We have this sort of the tagline of the project being prim to primal, and so the music definitely reflects that, this prim to primal. So we start out with these solo piano, chamber music, sort of string quartet stuff, and then it begins descending into these more like percussive, rhythmic, less melodic, less harmonic sounds. And
what sort of recording are you using? Or is it recording or is it live?
They're all 2-track. All the movement is 2-track, and it's done primarily through software. I did get there's a piece of music that I had a saxophonist come in for because we wanted something like really gnarly and brash. And but other than that, it's electronic, a mix of electronic and software sounds.
And how long is the piece?
It's 40 minutes, 40-ish minutes, almost entirely original music. As I was saying before, there's basically 3 words spoken in the entire show. So the story is told entirely through the movement and through the music, which is a lot of fun. It's really, it means you can come into it without any sort of theater background or understanding of text and plays or anything like that, and just take it in from a very human base standpoint.
Tell me about is it bare stage?
It is very, very minimal. We're using chairs to sort of demonstrate at one point. The dinner is sort of a moment in a section of the piece, so they use the chairs. And then what's also fun about the piece is because the dinner guests can't leave in the conceit, the dancers have to stay on stage the entire time. So they're then using the chairs just to be on stage, and they don't get a break, and they sort of have to be present for the entire performance, which is a lot of fun.
And at what point did you consider the music finished?
Opening night, probably. Yeah, I mean, we were doing some finalizing this morning of tracks, but I'm going to keep my eye on, or keep my ear open. We have a few more rehearsals. We're doing tech tomorrow night, and so hearing it in the space, I may want to go back and do some tweaks from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. The show is called Exterminating Angel. It runs at the Al Green Theater and kicks off June 29th, 10:30 p.m. Again, Al Green Theater. And for more information, alysapires.com, ALYSAPIRES.com. And thank you, Adam Sakayama, composer,
Thank you.
for joining me here in studio. You're listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. This is Donna G doing my 5-minute Fringe showcase, and you just heard from Adam and Exterminating Angel. Up next at the microphone, we have Myths and Coffee Cups, and joining me in studio, we have Damien Depping.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, and Bob Laguerre.
Well, I don't think anyone has ever gotten that right on the first try
Okay.
in my whole life.
Well, I realized as I was saying it that I didn't ask.
I was waiting for it, but you nailed it.
Okay. So, Myths and Coffee Cups. First of all, where does that title come from?
Well, the title of it comes from the fact that it's about a father and son who meet together once a year, and they just sit down, have coffee, and kind of discuss their lives, what they've been up to.
Well, the myths part comes because I have all kinds of urban legends that are really my way of operating in the world, so I keep trying to tell them, like, watch out for
You never
things.
know what to believe with this guy. I mean,
Have you two worked together before?
no, this is actually the first time I've worked with Bob. I've worked with Trevor before several times. He actually he did the show a couple years ago. If it's not too much trouble, the year before that he won the 24-hour contest with it. We did it 2 years ago, I guess it was now. So this is the second time I've done Fringe with Trevor.
How is it working with two directors? Because you've got Trevor and David.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, because I know Trevor pretty well, and I've worked with both him and Dave before, so it was a pretty natural transition. Like, we're all fairly comfortable with each other, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I think Trevor really has a handle on the words, I guess, and on the staging, but I think maybe Dave's a little more in tune with the staging part of things. And
yeah, he definitely is giving a different eye.
So it's good to have. It's a good in a way to have two. Yeah, they don't tend to argue on it.
No, not in front of the kids anyway.
So you mentioned the staging, and it's the fact that father and son are meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So is it just a park bench?
It is actually.
Okay.
It's very, very simple.
And what's the time period that we're talking about for these father-son meetings?
Yeah, so they meet once a year over 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically, circumstances, I guess we can say, keep them apart. So they have this one meeting a year and talk about everything and get sidetracked into crazy stories and stuff. And yeah.
So, Bob, approximately what age are you when these conversations start in the play?
I'm Damien. Yes.
So, Damien.
No, it's okay.
Damien,
no, I
what
should
age
have
are you?
just went with it. I'm about, so when we first started, it was probably mid-university for the character Jack. Mm-hmm. So at this point, it's about 8 years later. So late 20s, almost 30 kind of age range.
Yeah.
And did you bring your own father-son experience to the work, or was it completely different
I think
for
it
you?
definitely had a big part of it. When I first read it, it was something that really resonated with me too, just especially with my grandfather, actually, more so than my dad. There was a lot of just similarities that really kind of stuck with me. So I definitely think it resonated with me quite a bit.
Well, yeah, if I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm a lot like my dad, I guess, and I don't have kids, so it's a bit of a stretch. But things like we talk about, like he talks about Tinder at some point, and I'm just like, hey, I have no idea what you're talking about right now, which is true. I have no idea what the hell he's talking about, which is great, right? So, or there's
that's a real life experience that you're
or
bringing.
he'll say like, look at these photos. I'm like, you got photos on your phone? Like what? Like, so yeah, so that's me like realizing that I'm becoming what the modern version of my dad. I don't know what these young people do anymore. You know?
Now, in the write-up, it says you talk about a lot of different things, including tapeworms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we We talk about tapeworms.
How does that factor
I have a
in?
way of getting rid of a tapeworm, which is a proven.
Oh.
You hold up milk.
Oh, don't.
I think
No,
this-
let's.
I think
let's.
this is where the myths come in.
Yeah.
And you got to watch
I
it
don't
when
know,
you eat at
Bob.
those foreign
Come
places.
on.
You could get
I
a
don't know
tapeworm.
what to believe anymore.
I'm telling you, it's true.
Let's let people go to the show and find out.
You can find out a lot of good information
lot
from
of
the
What's
show.
real, what's
Yeah.
not.
A lot of information, some good, maybe not so
Yeah,
good.
You
some,
can decide, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, Books Are Boring is the name of the company.
Yeah, so it's the production company, yes.
And has this been around for a while?
I believe it started when Trevor was doing If It's Not Too Much Trouble, but in the meantime, I've worked with him as well, but they do a series of videos on YouTube, just like short comedy things. And
and
I've
Bob,
worked
what
with
about
him.
you? Have you
No, I've
been-
never worked with Trevor. Trevor, I'm friends with someone who was in that
If It's Not
If
Too
It's
Much
Not Too Much
yeah.
Trouble, and I saw the show, and she recommended me, being probably the only person she knows who's over 50, right? Like they don't, if they need someone who's
Like,
over 50, I get Bob. to
The
do it.
only person she knows.
Exactly.
The only one.
I am.
Yeah.
So, Myths and Coffee Cups is running at the Robert Gill Theater. It kicks off June 29th, 10:30 p.m. And booksareboring.net is the website. But the show, Myths and Coffee Cups. And thank you so much, both of you,
Thank
for
you so much
joining
for
me
having
here
us.
on air and for waiting as well.
Not a problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're listening to CIUT 89.5. Again, my thanks to Damien Depping and Bob Laguerre for joining me to talk about Myths and Coffee Cups, part of the Fringe. And just a reminder, the Toronto Fringe runs from June 29th to July 10th. And the website is fringetoronto.com, fringetoronto.com, if you need to follow up with anything that you've heard here and can't remember the individual websites. So joining me next is Joseph Garrett, and Joseph is with the play The Pain in My Ass, or How to Adult. Welcome.
Thank you. Wonderful title, right?
Well, definitely. It's eye-catchy.
For sure.
So you wrote this.
Yes, yeah, I wrote it. I wouldn't say necessarily it's autobiographical. Certainly inspired by events that I experienced. I had, in no shorter words, I had a cyst just on my tailbone, right above the certain hole, and it was quite possibly like the worst thing ever in my life. Now, granted, I'm only 24, so my life has not been that long. But that is where so much, like, because this show is a comedy, in case you can't tell, but it is about young people making a huge deal of what like, the rest, like, older people, even, like, kids and stuff like that, see, like, early 20s, late teens, people freaking out about...
Nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Freaking out about, like, what am I going to do now that I'm done school? Can I go travel? Should I join the workforce? It's like, to them, it's the hugest thing ever. But to, like, an actual adult, it's like, you'll find your way.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
So how long have you been working on this piece?
I actually just started writing it in November.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a shortish, like, it started out short, but then it got longer and longer. Our running time was, like, we're booked for a 90-minute, but just for a word of warning for everyone, it's now actually only 70 minutes.
Okay.
So if you're thinking, 90's too long, 70, you'll love it. It's wall-to-wall entertainment. You will not be disappointed, I swear.
So what's the style? Is it sketch comedy? Is it straight-ahead narrative? What is...
Mostly narrative, like, mostly played very conventional play style. Like, anyone who has, and that means everyone, who has a mother, father, sibling, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, anything, you will be able to relate to this show. Because I wrote it with, like, what I know, right? Which is, like, a very conventional style of people. Like, who is...
Are your parents in the show without them knowing?
They're definitely, again, not autobiographical, just inspired.
And so I think if your friends might be sitting in the audience going, wait a minute.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a big, not a shock, but they'll definitely be like, I don't sound like that.
Tell me about your lead actor.
Our lead actor is his name is Fraz Lid. He plays Solomon. Solomon is the character in the show who gets his little pain in the ass. And Fraz, he's a great actor. I've worked with him. We were both in undergrad at Queen's together. And he's done work with Second City and things like that. He's a great performer, and he really brings it. And his performance is awesome. Everyone in the show is awesome.
How did you get your cast together?
This is a funny story as well, because when I submitted the show for Fringe, I was not working. So I was thinking, I will have all the time in the world to direct it and find people and things like that. But then I got a job. And I'm not from Toronto. I am from Trenton, Ontario. So bit of a trek, right? So I had to then go into my reservoirs of who do I know, who can I trust to carry this show and relieve my effort, right? So I pooled my resources and I found a great crew. And they've done such an amazing job with it. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better result.
Tell me about your director, Daniela.
Oh, Daniela's great. She is, I asked her and I said, please, please, can you step in? Because I trusted her and I knew she could do a great job. And she went that plate and she hit a home run. It's so good.
First time in the Fringe?
Almost the whole cast. This is their first Fringe production. And, again, this is a great thing about our show. I don't think anyone is over 25. Everyone is 25 and under, which reflects our themes, right?
So everybody's basically playing their age.
Yeah.
They're not playing high school students. They're playing their age. That's
They're playing
nice.
for age, and it's you can definitely feel that energy in the show. You can feel that fresh brightness and desire to be on the stage in Toronto, and feeding off of the energy of the city. It's great.
And you're at St. Vladimir Theatre,
Yes.
and for those who've never been to St. Vladimir Theatre, bring a sweater.
Yes.
It's the coldest venue in the Fringe.
We actually had our tech today, and we all came in shorts and T-shirts. By the end, we were all huddling together.
Yeah.
But it's I gotta say, if it's another day like today, you guys will want to be in that venue for beat the heat.
But even if it's like today, bring a sweater, bring a
Yes.
wrap, because they do have blankets.
Yes, yeah.
So
I was
you
just gonna
can,
say.
put a blanket on your lap. They always ask if anybody wants one. So it's a wonderful venue, and they have a good stage.
Yes.
But it is a bit chilly.
Yeah,
So giving
wonderful
you
venue,
the heads up if you're going in your little tank top and shorts.
Yeah.
Bring a wrap with you.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
Joseph, thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
what wonderful luck to have your first show in the Fringe.
Yes, yeah, it's
That's
an honor.
amazing.
It's
and
an honor to be here.
yeah. So are you now based in Toronto? Are you staying with friends for the run of the Fringe?
I will be, yes.
Okay,
I
good.
will be with the show. I'll be at the front of house, so come by, say hi. It'll be so lovely to meet everyone.
Okay. So that's put on by Lost in Line Productions. And what's the website?
The website is, honestly, the best way to say it is just Google Lost in Line Productions or The Pain in My Ass, and make sure you add that or How to Adult in there. Otherwise, you may get some results that you don't want.
Yeah. Let's just go to the Fringe website for that
Yes,
to avoid
yeah,
those
yeah.
pop-ups. Okay. Joseph, thank you so much for joining
Thank
me.
you.
And the show kicks off June 29th, 10:30 p.m. at St. Vladimir Theatre. Thank you so much, and have fun.
Thank you.
You're listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. This is Donna G doing my annual 5-minute Fringe show, and I've had a wonderful time talking to everyone that's been part of the show today. And joining me now is, as I get my papers
No worries.
together.
I'm Brittany.
Is
I
I was
Get through.
I was doing so well with my papers.
Okay, you're good.
Scenes from plays I never wrote. And Brittany's joining me, and Aisha's joining me to talk about this piece, which is at Theatre Pass Marai Main Space.
Yeah.
You got the main space.
We got the main space. But you know what we didn't get that we should just mention
Yes.
right now at the beginning? We didn't get the Bathurst streetcar.
No.
there is a lot of construction happening.
Right.
And so there is no Bathurst streetcar, but that's okay. There's a replacement bus.
And there's also Spadina.
And there's Spadina, and you know, it's really nice walking out. So don't let that deter you from coming.
You just have to plan
But
ahead.
be aware.
Exactly.
Plan ahead.
Yeah.
And so with all the traffic mess, why should they get into the traffic mess to come and see your show?
Oh,
Aisha.
well, I put my arms up. You guys can't see me doing that. But yes, the reason why people should come see this show is that literally every single human being can relate to the subject matter that we deal with, which is basically the lovely Catherine, who is played by Brittany, is a playwright, and she is having a lot of problems with that inner critic voice inside her head that's telling her she's no good and all her ideas kind of suck. And we are all familiar with that voice. No matter who you are, no matter what you do, we all have that voice. And if you want to see that voice get squashed, then you might want to come see the show.
Aisha plays that voice.
I
feel
do.
like it's very important to note that.
Listen to me. Listen to this voice.
I think that would be a really fun role to
It
do.
is so much fun.
It's
It
like,
is
because
so...
you get to like poke her and go.
Oh yeah. And manifest. I mean, we've all got that voice.
Right.
I write as well, and I do. You know, we all know what that feels like to have that kind of on your shoulder person kind of
Critic.
just criticizing everything that you do. And playing this role has been incredible because she's just larger than life, and we don't often get to play those kinds of roles. So yeah,
It's
really
lots of fun.
Yeah.
And it's written and directed by Greta Papageorgiou.
Yes.
And
Good job.
That was good. Yeah.
And so how did you get involved with Greta?
So Greta is fantastic. This is my radio plug for Greta Papageorgiou. Greta and I actually met doing the Fringe more years ago than I care to admit to. But we met doing a Fringe show, and we had a blast and got to be friends. And Greta's actually an acting teacher in Toronto. She teaches Meisner technique. And so through social connections, but also through hanging out and taking her classes, we sort of developed a working relationship. And that is, I think, how several of us.
I actually met Greta. There's a thing that a lot of actors do. It's called standardized patient work, where you basically play a fake patient for doctor exams. Seinfeld, anyone. So I met Greta actually there, and then I took her class.
Yeah.
And she's fantastic. And then she told me she got into the Fringe, and I was like, hey, if you ever need any actors, you know who to call. And then she actually did call me. So that's how it ended up.
Yeah.
Wow. So tell me about the play itself. And is it sort of vignettes of scenes that, or is that life scenes, or what is it?
A little bit. It's about as Aisha mentioned, it's about a writer named Catherine who sort of is transported into the world of her creative unconscious,
we like to call her.
All right.
And has to sort of figure out how to finish a script in order to get back to the real world, if you will. So in the process of doing that, we get to see some of the plays that she's
never
half finished, that she's never written. So there are some little vignettes in there of different, mostly different genres. We poke fun at quite a few tropes and different ideas like that. So
It's very funny.
And how many are in your company, the cast?
there are 4 of us.
Okay.
And I feel like it's important to note that 3 of us are women.
Yes.
Yay.
Well, and even our crew, like we basically only have
2 gentlemen.
2 gentlemen in our entire cast and crew.
And they are gentlemen.
And they are gentlemen.
It's
They are
nice to be able to represent the
people.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know the Fringe has been doing, work trying to be more equitable
Yes.
Yeah.
in terms of gender.
Well,
Fringe Femme Tio.
Fringe Femtio. And I also just want to mention the one thing, too, about having this female-heavy cast crew situation, that it also isn't really about the fact that we're all women. Like, our show happens to be women, but it's a show about people, having people problems. And I think I love that it's it's not women being like, oh, we're women and women problems. Like, it's life.
Yeah.
It's life.
Universal story.
It is.
Exactly.
Universal story,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I think it's great that your crew are women.
Yeah, we have some amazing
Fight director.
We have an amazing fight director.
Fight director.
Yeah, there's a huge brawl, guys. You need to come see this.
An amazing fight director, Louisa Zhu, and stage manager who's a woman, and a set designer who's a woman, and they are all fantastic.
Tell me about your set.
We have an extremely heavy desk from, I think, 1976, maybe. We'll say 76.
I
That's
like
the year
it.
I was
I like
born,
that.
so we'll just say that. But it is one of those old, heavy metal desks. So it's beautiful.
We're going to get a workout.
We're going to get a
Moving that
workout,
around.
putting it on and off the set. But other than that, I mean, we've got a lot of cute
We
little
have a
props. But
cool microphone, a
beautiful
rolly
microphone.
chair. The rolly chair
Yeah, the
plays
rolly
an important
chair.
part.
Yes.
But it's the Fringe, so set is kind of minimal.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we've done pretty well with our minimal stuff.
So you're in the space now rehearsing? Or
We had our tech today.
You had our tech? Okay. All right. And how was it?
It was good. We were the first. We were officially the first group in the Pass Marai main space, and the technicians were lovely and very patient with us, and it went really well. So we're excited now to open and be on stage.
Big
On
venue to
Thursday.
fill.
Yes, it is. So buy those tickets.
Do you
Buy
have
those
your
tickets.
postcards ready to hand out and
We
work the
do.
line?
We do. We
Okay.
do.
You know to work the line at other shows too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to be in character. It's going to be great.
Okay, you're listening to CIUT 89.5 FM. Scenes from plays I never wrote at Theatre Pass Marai main space. Plan your ticket because with the Fringe, there's no latecomers admitted at all. It could be their grandmother's coming. They're not going to let grandma in.
That's true.
And it's happened to me where I've been like 10 seconds late. Oh, we just closed the door. And it's like,
know.
I just say, I understand.
Yes.
Yep.
So, again, scenes from plays I never wrote. FullCircleToronto.com is their website. And thank
And we
you.
open on Thursday.
And you open on Thursday, 8:15 p.m. at Theatre Pass Marai main space. And Brittany, thank you for joining me. And Aisha, thank you for joining me.
Thank you
for
so much.
having us.
And for all things Fringe, check out FringeToronto.com. FringeToronto.com runs June 29th to July 10th. You can get your ticket, your play listings, everything on that website. Phone number is 416-966-1062, 416-966-1062. And I want to thank all of my guests who joined me today. Jillian English, a bitter Shrew. For the record, I had Sherry Hollett and Chris Earle joining me for that. Tarot Live, Jesse Strong, and Women, Isabel Kanan and Chris Baker represented that show. Exterminating Angel, the only dance piece in the run that I interviewed today, and I was joined by the composer Adam Sakiyama. And Myths and Coffee Cups, I had Damien and Bob joining me, and you just heard from Brittany and Aisha. And thank you so much for joining me here today for the hour. I hope you go out and support some wonderful independent theater at the Fringe Festival. And thanks so much to Eric for keeping my sanity and for making me sound wonderful today. Thank you, Eric.